Well, hello runners and those people who are considering running, who we call pre-runners, or those who will be runners, or those who shall run. Anyway, this is a podcast and it's called, I forgot what it's called now. I always get the name slightly wrong. I will not, cannot, I shall not, will not, I cannot, shall not. I think we decided on I would not,
It's all good.
Yeah. It's all good. I would not, could not run. I would not, could not run. And this episode is 6, and we're sort of pulling a few strings together in this one. We're going to call it Our Lives as Runners. Me and Andrew have been doing this a few years now, and we're just sort of going to pull a few strings of stuff that we've been talking about before in the last 5 episodes about how we came to be runners, because we sort of now partly define ourselves as such. My name's Oliver, by the way, and this is Andrew.
Hello, everyone.
And we both do a little bit of running, and we used to be people who didn't think we would or could. We thought we were too old, we were too fat, we were too unathletic. We hated it at school. We thought our knees would pop straight out of our legs if we even so much as tried to put on a pair of trainers. But here we are, a few years later, as runners. And the first thing we usually do, Andrew, is we just have a chat about what's happened since we last spoke. I've got some fabulous news, but let's start with you.
Okay. Well, I was thinking we could turn this into a cycling podcast, actually.
Yes, that's nice.
So I haven't actually done any running in the last week. So as I mentioned last week, I have a slight niggling calf strain. And yeah.
That's more than a niggle.
It's been about, well, it never really hit as a proper calf strain, but it was, a bit painful, and it's been going on something like three weeks now. And I do try and run through these things, and maybe we'll come back to that a little bit. But there comes a point when you need to not do that. So I stopped running for the last sort of 7 to 10 days, and I've just been cycling, actually. So I've been doing my aerobic exercise on the bicycle and realising actually that's not bad. It's quite nice.
Yeah. You go fast as well. Yeah.
You go a lot faster. In fact, in fact, you cover half of Hertfordshire if you go out as long as I run.
You've got to start in Hertfordshire, but yeah.
Sure. So anyway, the long and short of it is that my calf is now feeling brilliant, much better, and I've been doing some strength exercises, and so I'll run tomorrow. And
good man.
Yeah. So there we are.
Actually, that's a good one, because we will get injured at some point. Our legs will say, hang on a minute, that you stretched that a little bit too far for a bit too long. And cycling, as you've proven, it does. A lot of people say that's such a great recuperative exercise to do, and you're still getting your exercise, so you're maintaining your fitness. Slightly different muscles, I suppose, but you're...
It's a good cross-training.
Fitness. Yeah. So good. Oh, well, I'm glad you're getting better. The lovely Louise, my wife, the speedy Louise, one of the fastest 60-year-olds in the whole of the Medway district, she's got a terrible calf strain, and she's very cross. So, but she's doing a lot of strength and cycling. So when she comes back, she'll buoying off like she always did. We're actually thinking of going into regionals. I've been looking at how fast 60-year-old women are in Kent, and there are faster ones than my wife, but not many. So, It's like Glee. You remember Glee? You used to go to regionals and then state and then finally the nationals. That's my view. I'm basically going to be her pimp in a way, if that's right, and hopefully make some money betting like
yes.
She's a prize fighter. But anyway, I had a great run today. Today I ran in the middle of the day, at the middle of the working day. Andrew, I ran because I'd been away for a wedding in Armenia of all places, and I have been stopping. And let this be a lesson to all you runners who are at the slow end of the scale, like me. Stopping's fine. I've been covering 5K 3 times a week, but I've been stopping. It's been too hot. And I'm still quite big, 90 kilos. It all gets too much. But this was the first time I ran 5K without stopping this summer, really. And I got a decent time. And I was faster in the second half than in the first half, which is always a good thing because it proves that you haven't... Yes, negative splits. That's right. It's because I guess it means you didn't start off too fast and you weren't too ambitious, and you managed to pace yourself literally. And my last kilometre was the fastest kilometre, so I averaged 6 minutes 50, just to put a time on it per kilometre. So that's about 34 minutes, which is absolutely not speedy, but this is the point of running. For me, massive victory, and I'm thrilled. The endorphins are pumping, and yeah, for what I do, where I scale myself, great run. So lovely. I've just had about half a kilogram of peanuts, which I think are okay, but probably a bit salty. I
Well
don't know if you
done.
get a salty high, but yeah. So
It's
anyway,
cooling down, isn't it? It's
oh
cooling
yeah,
down, which helps huge amount when you're larger.
massively, massively. I suppose I get where the Mexican tribe and Kenyan athletes, Ethiopian athletes, because they're so used to that heat. But for your Anglo-Saxon, for your clumping Anglo-Saxon, the sun ain't no friend, man. But
Yeah.
anyway, should we get back to where we are? So you've been running, by my estimate, I don't know, 6 years, is it? 6 or 7?
Something like that, 2018. Yes, summer
2018,
2018, I
yeah,
think
7
was.
years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm just one and a half. So in the first year, let's just talk about the first year, because we're both 59, as we keep on talking about, and you have to be patient. I found. All right, you're not 20 anymore, and you can get fit in a couple of weeks. It did take a long time for me to notice things changing, but they do change inexorably. So how would you describe where you were after 1 year, let's say?
I guess there was a few things. I mean, I remember. I mean, obviously, the start for me was a real low point in terms of my fitness and my weight, and I mentioned this before, so I won't dwell on that. But yeah, so it was a low point, which was good because there was a long way to improve. And I remember after a couch to 5K, I felt really good, quite a lot better. I'm slightly asthmatic, and I remember my lungs feeling better after just a few weeks. My joints felt better. My resting heart rate was already starting to drop, and so that was amazing. And then I also remember I was also working at the time, doing quite a busy job, quite a stressful job, and I remember feeling that the running was actually becoming quite important for me in managing stress levels, actually, and eking out the time to run. I was a little bit guilty about it at the start, but then I began to feel that it was a thing that was good for me, and I felt I was performing better anyway when I was running. So I stopped feeling guilty about going out for a run when I was working from home, and after the run, I just would be sitting there bathed in endorphins, feeling much more relaxed, and I think being much more productive, having just been out for a slow 5K as it would have been back in that first year.
We did the same
Yeah.
job for. I remember I worked on the London Olympics 4 years before the Olympics, and I remember being so busy and stressed that I thought I literally don't have time to have a poo today. I remember feeling that used to work in the Barclays Tower in Canary Wharf, 2008. So the previous Olympics was that Beijing
Did you not
Olympics
have
were on.
those desk toilets then?
Honestly, I was like, "Oh my god, I've needed a poo since the morning, and I haven't got time to do it." That was a stupid kind of work cycle that we got into. And feeling guilty for going for a run, it's like feeling guilty for having a shower. Or guilty. Well, you certainly would be guilty for having lunch. You'd never not have your lunch at your desk in the stupid jobs that we did. Even you've retired from
Yeah, I mean
quite
self-inflicted
sensibly.
in a way.
Well, it is. I mean, you've got
Yeah,
that's right.
but
Yeah, yeah.
it's a bottomless pit. So jobs that are bottomless pits where the work is never done. So essentially, you just have to eke out your own time and feel okay about it.
Absolutely, just like you do in anything that is keeping your body and mind fit. It's just this is one of the crazy things that people get into. I watch people walking around London and they all look so stressed and unhappy and bottled up with frustration. For me, it was slightly different. I didn't get the endorphins to begin with, but after a year, I really did, and I got this sense of embracing the discomfort, if you like. So sometimes you'll bolt off and go too fast and you'll end up an absolute mess, and then sometimes you'll get into a place where it's not comfortable, but it's bearable, right? And it's a
Yeah.
good thing to do for your body, and you feel good about the fact that you're maintaining you're giving your body an overhaul. No, you're not giving your body a bit of exercise. You're maintaining your body. You're respecting your body. You're saying, look, this needs this exercise thing. It's good for it. Yes, obviously, it's hard work, but of course, it's got to be hard work. I don't want to go no gain, no pain, no gain, but it's sort of that kind of thing. And to get into that zone, I did it today, and I'm really pleased with myself. Where you think I can almost run forever, and the
Yeah.
discomfort is I don't know, in a sense, the discomfort is reminding me I'm alive. So my senses are working. Okay, my senses are saying, "Why are you running?" But they're working, and I'm alive, and the birds are singing, and the breeze is going, and I'm not stopping. So that was good. And during working for the Olympics in 2008, I had crippling back issues to the point where I had physio, and I had one of those things where you go in the big tube, the claustrophobic tube.
Okay, right.
Yeah, most people hate that. I thought it was great because they put on music that you like and you just chill. And there's no email. But since running, I had some physio and it sort of sorted it out. Since running, zero backache after a year. I mean, I'm touching wood now because maybe it'll come back, but it feels like the muscles are compensating, and no injuries either because I did the warm up and down. So that's how I felt after a year. But then what I noticed with you, you started going on about running even more after you'd done it for a few years. It felt like it was almost something that you did, not as an embarrassment, but it was something that you did in the background for a while. It was just something you did in the back. And then something happened with you that made you more evangelical about it. And that was the kind of time when you started busting my chops about starting.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of period that I feel like I might be getting into. Again, I'm being patient, but what was it that happened to you after it had become a routine, after it had become a habit, and then it became, I don't know, I want to say lifestyle, but describe it a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? I mean, I think it was probably the learning more about it. I think, and the reading, and then the realizing about the cultural running and all of that stuff just started to sort of make it seem all quite exciting. I think that was the point when I started thinking, yeah, this is something that we just need to spread the word around. But I mean, after sort of the first year, so between the first year and that period when I started to sort of try and understand more about running, there was like four years, something like that, and there were some things that I remember. I mean, it took me a long time to speed up. Actually, I was running with Rachel, my wife, and we were running really slowly. And I think it took a good 18 months to get to anything like a 6 minute kilometre for me, and that had to go in parallel with me losing weight. And it's different for everyone, but yeah, and I think that's absolutely fine. And I think whatever speed you run at is absolutely fine. I think if you try and go out too hard too soon, it will be too miserable, and there's a risk you might stop. So it took me a while to speed up. I was also slow at bringing in exercises, strength exercises. I remember them appearing in my YouTube feed, and I thought, no, that's just not for me. It's going to be too boring. So I would just go out the door and run. I think I've suffered with minor injuries and this and that, aches and pains more than you have, Oliver. So the strength exercises really does seem to help with that. I'm still a bit patchy with them now, so I should do them 3 times a week. I don't always do it, and I think which is the thing that's caused my calf strain is the fact that I've sort of stopped doing my calf and foot strengthening. I've just sort of forgotten to do it over the past few weeks, and we've had the summer and some holidays, so that's a note to self to definitely. We'll touch on this in a bit, but maybe what I need to keep doing and keep doing more of is strength exercises. And then I remember my weight took a while to get down to a healthy weight. I think you probably got down faster than me, actually, Oliver. And I've got a bit of a yo-yo dieting thing going on, but I think the running proved to be the impetus. I remember quite quickly, if my diet goes a bit squiffy, a bit funny, then within a week I'm running along and I can feel my whole front wobbling up and down like a.
Oh, God, Lord.
Which no one really wants
No
to.
one wants, no.
No one wants that, least of all me. And then I just think, holy mother of God, I really mustn't slip back to those old ways, and then I'll go back on the diet, and then it all just gradually subsides again. So yeah, I mean, so learning those things, sort of came along in the year after running, and then up to about year 4, and then. One more thing I mentioned was it took me quite a long time to be able to have a conversation when I running. and that is actually quite a joyous thing, that you can run along and chat to whoever you're running with in a very relaxed way without just trying to focus on not expiring
Oh
and not
yeah.
gasping for air. So we, Rachel and me, sort of started doing 10Ks a couple of years ago, I think, when we were becoming much fitter, and we could run along with our low heart rates and chat. I mean, slowly, it's not particularly quickly, but that's the run we were doing, and just chat about whatever, and that was lovely. Um,
Yeah, I can't do that yet. I'm banned. I will not run with anybody. I'm not interested in chatting, and that's bad. I want to get to where you were, and again, it's about patience, and it's very much related to your heart rate. And my heart rate is pretty high when I'm running. We talked about zones before, so I'm in zone 4, 5 all the time. Sometimes in zone 5 for most of the
yeah.
run, which is too high because it's too uncomfortable, and you can't talk. I would like, I suppose, to chat with Louise, but I always think I'd chat to her quite a lot anyway. So that's probably okay. She keeps saying shall we run together, and I keep saying no. She's tons faster than me. But what I think I've found is motivation is normally a bit of a problem for me, particularly when it's doing something that requires any amount of effort. But I can't remember a time that I've thought I can't be asked to run. I'm not going to do it today.
No.
Once I got into this cadence of 3 times a week, I just feel I owe it to myself to do it 3 times a week, and I've started sort of appreciating my body, which is a weird thing because I've sort of been embarrassed by my body most of my life. It's sort of slightly, the chest was a bit skinny, my arms, legs are very skinny, then this belly developed, and I've never really liked it very much. But losing about 10k and then seeing your arms sort of slightly, I wouldn't call them muscular, but they've changed shape a
Tone
little
up.
bit. Yeah, they're toned up. That's right. And this body can drag itself around 5k. I'm starting to appreciate the bit of equipment that God or Darwin has given me,
Yeah.
and it's
Well,
really
you probably got a
strange.
better shape than me for running, actually.
No,
You
I've seen
probably,
you. No, we got changed. Remember, for the last race we did, I've seen what you've got, my friend, and what you've got is extremely impressive. I'll get there,
well,
but I didn't see all of it.
cart horse. It's in the cart horse sort of area. In terms of
It's the
stocky.
athletic cast horse. Yeah. Still stocky, but that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
And strong shoulders, powerful arms. I don't really want this to turn into romance.
Do you want
But,
me to send more photos again?
I would. I asked. There's some photos on the Facebook site, and
Mm.
I wanted something a little slightly more glam, slightly more
Okay,
Victoria's Secrets, if you can do that. Yeah, the other thing. Oh, by the way, the other thing that's really good is the recovery time. So I ran quite hard today for me, even though the times are slow, and I don't care because it's a victory for me. But I recovered. Bing. The endorphins pumping. I'm having a drink and some peanuts, and then my chat to you. That is a real change. And then there's something about kinship with other runners. I mean, it sounds hippie and bollocks, but it's not really. I just really respect
good one.
runners,
Yeah.
and I respect runners all the way from Kipchoge all the way down to the park runners who do it because they want to be part of something and they don't care how slow they are, and then they don't look like they're built for running and they just bloody do it. There's a guy who must be about nearly 80 years old and he does it every week, and he sprints the last 100 meters screaming, "Still alive!" And basically, that man is a hero to me. So those are all the things. I'm looking forward to the next set. You are sort of where I'm heading for, maybe.
Yeah, I think you are. Definitely.
But yeah, I've got to do a lot more of the things that you do in terms of cross training, strength, maybe diet, and actually having the discipline to up my distance a little bit. I'm getting a little bit too comfortable at 5k, so I'm going to push it a little bit further. I'm going to maybe do an extra k. But I'm in a very, very good mood today for several reasons. Not only because Spurs are playing in the Champions League tonight, but also because I've had a good run and done quite well at work. So yeah, I'm sort of looking forward to the next bit where I go next.
Yeah. Well, I think. I mean, towards the end of my 4-year period was the point when I started to sort of just get curious about running, because I was spending much more time doing it, and that sort of got to the point where I felt that I now knew more about it, and it was amazing and so accessible, and then I felt that I had to inflict it on you, Oliver.
Yeah,
which
that's the point.
it
That's right.
probably
It wasn't when
20,
you
was it?
started.
I don't know. Was it after COVID?
Yeah, yeah,
Something
yeah,
like that,
yeah,
wasn't it? I felt like it feels like
yeah.
it was after COVID. So that's sort of 2021 into 2022. That's the point when I felt that I was no longer I was becoming a seasoned runner, and yeah, and felt that I knew the basics, and also realised how much I had to learn as
Well,
well
you had an
because
answer to everything as well, right? So, in my stance, and maybe people listening will relate to this, is no, I'm not going to do it. It was terrible at school. I'm overweight. My legs are skinny. No, my brother runs, and he's always been built skinny, and he's done, like 3-hour marathons and whatever. I'm not going to do it. So shut up. And then you, in your charming way, kept going. But every question I had, you had a counter to. It's bad for your knees. Well, actually, it's not bad for your knees. Oh, shut up.
I've been through the same.
Yeah,
I've been through the
exactly.
same argument, trying not to run because without saying the same thing as the first episode, I didn't want to be a runner. I didn't like running, and I was looking for reasons not to do it. But it just reeled me in.
Yeah, yeah. And again, it took a lot of time because it was a few years into your running. You'd been running longer than I have been running now before you started to go, the Born to Run book, it all started to fit together, and the Couch to 5K, it all started in Park Run, it all started to fit together. And then you had all the answers to my questions, which were,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. Well, my first stance was, well, I'm not going to do it. I'm ridiculous. I'm not going to do it. So shut up. You'd be amazing. Your body changes. Oh, really? How long does it take for your body to change? Oh, about 4 years. Well, I'm not going to do it, etc., etc. I don't.
So your
quite
vanity is what reeled you in the end, Oliver.
I suppose it was. It was Joe Wiley as well on Couch to 5K. She was absolutely wonderful. Exactly the kind of motivation I needed from someone I respected already. And then realised, I just assumed that because she's sort of tall and slim, she'd be a great runner, and she wasn't. And so she was the one that got me through. It's very odd. I remember the first time I marched out of the house like an idiot with my headphones on and Joe Wiley saying, "You've only got to run for 30 seconds." I remember thinking, actually, I might quite like this. I'm sure I won't. But I might actually quite like this. I quite like the shimmering April the 1st it was. April sun coming through the clouds. I'm going to be round about the river. Joe Wiley in my headphones. No, I can't possibly like this. And I sort of liked it almost immediately, which was
But
very,
it's
very weird.
it's a real me time, isn't it? If you're not the sort of person who finds it easy to give yourself time. So if you're not the sort of person who's able to, has a lot of hobbies and is very busy in their professional life, it's something that you can do, which has got a sort of like a Protestant work ethic built in because you're doing something healthy.
Oh, right, yeah, exactly. And this evangelizing thing, I'm even more annoying than you were actually, because I'm just even more keen and say no, you should do it. I'm terrible, but I still run. And also the real advantage, though, joking apart, is Louise and me have something in common. Finally, after 30 years, no. Louise, like I've said before, clearly I'm a fan. She's turned into a really good, well, she was quite a good runner, but she's turned into a really good runner, particularly for her age group. And so that's been nice.
Yes.
Then our
Yeah.
son runs, and then our daughter has started running, and she's slower than me, which is great. And then our next door neighbour runs, and then our next door neighbour wants to be faster than my wife because he's slightly macho and Swedish, but he can't get faster than my wife. And then we've got other people on the street where we live, terrace actually. I didn't want to say terrace, but it's a terrace. All going to park.
It's a very nice terrace, Oliver.
Oh, we're very lucky. All going to park run. So there's a community building up of people I know who run, and then you turn up to park run, and then there are. You find your own little community in park run of people your speed, and you're all different shapes, which is weird. You go, golly, how is that guy faster than me? And then obviously at my speed, I'm running with a load of lovely women as well, which is always a bonus.
Which
as
is
well.
very nice.
Yeah.
I've actually started. So I seem to have ended up running around the local park in St Albans quite often, and I do have lots of other routes, and some of them sort of wend their way off into the countryside and back. But the park, the Snows Park, is a nice place to run, and it's straightforward. And I'm properly just noticing people because they all have the same routines that I do. So people are out running or just walking their dogs, and people are just, I'm running along just saying hello. hello, nodding to people. I'm seeing people from the running club. I'm seeing people who are just running. I'm seeing people doing fast walking, people doing exercise in the park, and it feels as though there's this sort of wider community
Yeah.
of people who are out
Wonderful.
there in the outdoors, in the fresh air, even if it's just walking, not even
Yeah.
just walking, even if it's walking,
Yeah.
all out there just enjoying it. Yeah.
I mean, they're really. I mean, we said it a lot of times. There's really something special about the park run. It's this community feeling, and it's people who you wouldn't necessarily spend time with. And there seem to be people, of all types. You seem to get people with learning disabilities turning up. People who very, very much not athletic, and the very, very athletic as well. So an absolute spectrum of people with one thing in common, and everybody's talking and everybody's saying, "How are you doing?" And no, it's wonderful. I would massively recommend it. So what's next? What's next for us? Well, let's start with you. What's next for you? Because one thing we have done is we've started doing races, which is very good. And you've been sort of sliding up the leaderboard of the 50 to 55 to 59-year-olds. And I've been, bobbing along at the bottom. And Louise has been doing very well. But there is something about race day. I hardly believe I'm saying this based on how long I've been running. But yeah, it's this thought of entering a race. And I've entered a few 5Ks. You normally do 10K. But we're both doing, as well as Charlie, my son, hopefully, and certainly my wife, we're doing a 10K in November, which of course will be my first one, which I was going to say anxious, but not really. I'm excited. I've got to up my distances, but I believe I will be able to do it in November. A 10K race. It's insane.
Oh, I didn't know you'd signed up for the 10. That's a brilliant.
There's only a 10. Yeah,
Okay.
the one in the Olympic
Right.
Park, yeah. There's only a 10K and a 10 mile. What the hell is a 10 mile? 10 miles not a thing. Anyway, crazy.
10 mile,
So,
that's, that's getting towards half marathon distance, yeah. Mm.
yeah, that's 3/4 of a marathon, whatever. Anyway, it's this ridiculous distance, which I don't want to talk about. So it's nonsense. It's 27-mile race. What are you talking about? So it's 10K, yeah. So doing that, so that's a different experience, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And racing, I never thought it was going to be something that I was going to be interested in. But two things. Obviously, it's actually quite exciting, and it's great fun because of the competitive nature, which I think we all have as humans, and there's just the desire to chase down the person in front. So if you feel like you've got something in the tank, sometimes if you're just running out around the local park by yourself, it's just difficult to push yourself that little bit harder, and you can easily just fall into the I'm just going to slope around the park and then come back home again. Racing, incredibly exciting, great fun, great social occasion, lots of paraphernalia with all the start line stuff going on, a sense of community, and it's brilliant for training, and it sort of keeps the year. If you have a series of runs in your year, it can give the year some structure. So you can have a training block. We start to sound like proper athletes with a training block, and training blocks are what athletes have who are training for a particular date, and you can download them online, and it will just give you a week by week set of exercises and runs to do, and then at the end of in the week or two before your run, you will taper to drop down your running volume and or intensity. To the point where you race. Not that I really do any of that, but absolutely could do that.
Well, maybe that's what's next. Yeah, I quite like the idea that that's that there's a real scheme to it. A real it's almost mechanistic. In other words, it will probably work for almost everybody because running's fairly simple. Really, you're just sort of moving your legs really fast. So a training regimen for someone of a particular fitness level will probably work quite well, I guess, which is why you can have sort of cookie cutter regimens like that. The one thing I forgot to mention is setbacks and how I've got through a major setback, and I think there's no stopping me now. I just got fed up with not getting faster. I got fed up with being slower. I got fed up with still being in the. I'm hilariously for men. I'm in the what am I? What am I in? I'm in the 90th percentile, I think, for men, and then for men my age, I'm in the 80th. You know, and I got sick of it, and I'm just thought, oh, it's just like being back at school. I really am rubbish at this. This is terrible, and I've totally got through that now because it's not about comparing yourself to the rest of the human race. It's about, are you getting something out of this? Are you getting better by some measure? My measure is kind of recovery time and how well I feel, or you know, my best run of the week, how good that is. So I'm quite optimistic in terms of looking to the future. I don't think I'm going to be racing at regionals, or even locals, or even within my family, which I am third fastest. But I still think I'll keep doing this because I'm no longer cross with myself for being slow. I'm just like, that's the kind of runner I am, if you like. That's when you know. And if a faster time comes, great. If greater distance comes, and it should do, great. But really, it's just a hobby now. Like, I guess when people go fishing, right, they don't get really pissed off if they don't catch their biggest fish every single week, do they? They just go and do their fishing, catch a fish, don't catch a fish, have time sitting in the universe thinking about stuff or chatting to their
Well,
mate.
I think, I mean, to get a bit zen about it, I think the point of fishing isn't to fish, is it? Really, it's to be at one with the world and sort of thing.
So that brings me to the thing I thought. Yeah, I was talking about mind body. We've talked about, great for endorphins, great for mental health and anxiety and taking your mind off things. Obviously great for the body, but yeah, don't want to be hippie about this, and I'm not religious, atheist in fact. However, there is something about the soul, about running. You are a moving object, a biological weapon. Weapon's probably not the right word. A biological manifestation, moving through the universe in a way that in primeval times you would have had to have done to survive. And it's, you're just watching the birds do their thing and boats on the river where I go. There is definitely the soul part of it, and kinship, running with people or running on your own. It's mentioned quite a lot in the Born to Run book that we talk about a lot. But yeah, I think I would divide it into mind, body, and soul.
And it's good for everything, yes. And it's not just obviously good for your body; it's good for the other things too.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I mean,
Well,
there's other things that I was thinking as we're sort of just thinking about where we are right now, and there's a few things that I thought I might do more of, and a few things that I might do less of, and we talked a bit about racing, and just note to self, I've had a few injuries than you, so I'm going to do some more strength stuff, especially feet, because your feet are your springs. And Oliver, actually, if I was to offer any advice to you in public, it would be to get some strength exercise going and start bouncing a bit more.
no, you're quite right.
And that's probably the next thing for you. I would suggest, if I was where you are, that's what I'd be doing. And then the other things I was thinking of doing more of is probably a bit of cross training by bike. I think if you are out there really hammering the running quite hard, then as soon as you start pushing yourself harder, the risk of injury goes up. It's not a done deal, but harder you push yourself, there is a risk. So if you cross train onto another, exercise which is less impactful in terms of your joints, then that can be a bicycle or swimming even, but I choose the bike. So I think I'll do a bit more of that. There's the spreading the good word, which is the evangelizing. I never thought I'd be talking about spreading the good word about running, but here we are, and I guess the podcast is part of that.
Definitely, yeah.
So incredibly accessible and brilliant. I can't think of a single downside. And the other thing I think probably the final thing was to keep a running log and just make some notes about how you're doing and where you are in your running journey. And I have sort of done this over the years, and I can look back in Microsoft OneNote is what I use, and I've just got all these little dates, and I can see where, particularly good, had a PB, or if I had a calf strain or something, I can see when it happened, and I can also, I try and keep track of what I did to make it better, because it's so easy to forget. I think back to 2023. I have no idea what happened in 2023. I can't remember anything about it. But going back at my run log, and I can see, oh yeah, well, I did have an arse twinge back then, and
Oh, nasty.
those are the things that I did.
Does he keep in
To
touch?
actually, yes, yes, it's been wonderful actually.
Yeah.
And then there's a while I was thinking of all of this, there were two or three things that I thought I might do less of. Just fretting when my exercise goes awry, if you like, which could be anything: family stuff, holidays, illness, aches and pains. I do get a bit antsy and a bit anxious about, because I think I've got this. I still have this deep fear that I suddenly won't be able to run anymore. So my body will just suddenly say no. That's
Yeah.
it. You've got an injury, and that's you out for 18 months. I just don't think that's going to happen because I'm running carefully. So do less fretting, and I'm going to be more careful about powering through on injuries. You can up to a point, but if you start to limp, that's my cut-off. So if you start to alter your gait because of a pain that's happening, very quickly you need to decide to stop and to walk and to let whatever it is that's hurting you get better. And the last thing I came up with was my tendency to sort of yo-yo diet over holidays. So August and December are the periods for me. I've got a birthday in August, and I just end up drinking too much and eating too much, and I end up feeling terrible, and the running goes to pot a bit. So there's nothing wrong with having holiday periods and just relaxing things a little bit, but I think I can probably just not relax them quite as much.
Not as relaxed as a newt. Actually, a lot of it is advice from you, but I'm very similar. In fact, even though I'm at a sort of earlier stage, one thing that I cannot believe I literally cannot believe has happened. I'm like, shall I have my third drink? Not in the old days, like up till 2 years ago, I wouldn't have even asked. It'd be like, when am I having my third drink? I know I'll have it just before my fourth drink. But now I go, oh, I'll just feel a bit ropey tomorrow, and I want to run tomorrow. I mean, I cannot impress upon you how unlike the old me that thought is.
Me
but
too.
that is really good for you, because I am drinking a hell of a lot less. I wasn't. I don't think it was a problem, but it was quite a lot too much, I would say. I was one of those people who could quit tomorrow if they needed to, and then was desperate for a drink, a cocktail, right, on a Friday, because I'd earned it. So, not really dangerous, but actually amber at least. And now, I've got part run tomorrow, so maybe I'll have just a couple of drinks. Maybe, hang on a minute, do I actually feel like a drink? I don't really feel like a drink. It's just a habit. I'm actually going to try not having one. This not having a drink is quite good, and it's absolutely helping my running. Strength thing, absolutely right. And the cross training, you are absolutely right. And I might want to mix it up as well. And also, I think one thing for me is not to think of this as some kind of pursuit with a target in mind. It's just one of the things I do now, like fishing, like what you said before. People who don't fish to catch fish, they fish to do something which detaches them or gives them sort of some sort of at oneness with the riverbank. Presumably they're doing it on a river. You can do it on other bodies of water, I'm sure. Anyway, without getting into a fishing podcast, it's just something you do. It's ridiculous to think, oh, I did a run today and I really enjoyed it, but I wasn't as fast as yesterday. That's the most ridiculous thing to say. When would you do anything and enjoy it and then say, oh, but it wasn't quite as enjoyable as the one I did the previous? So I'm sort of getting out the way of stats. Notwithstanding that, obviously I have a massive spreadsheet like you do, because, again, very similar in terms of career. We're nerds, basically. You're more on the engineering side. I guess I'm more on the computering side, but they both came together beautifully at the company that we used to work at. So I quite like doing that. I've got a lovely correlation between temperature and speed. It's absolutely unbelievable. That. Yeah.
Wow.
The trend line
is
is
amazing.
Yeah. Oh, it's lovely. I've got obviously a scatter graph, and the trend line on that is distinct. But the trend line on my speed over the month is wobbling about all over the place, and I do not give a toss anymore, which is lovely. So
No,
Yeah, I think so.
it's definitely the right thing, and your general ability and how you feel and your ability to run quickly or slowly is just varies a lot. I think
Yeah,
over the month,
lots of
and
variables.
certainly with temperature.
Yeah.
But also with what you've eaten and how you slept. Something we haven't really talked that much about is sleep and how important sleep is.
Yeah.
So I mean, most people are not getting enough sleep by, at least an hour or two. So if you're getting less than 8 hours sleep, most people are. That's probably not enough, and your body goes through its repairs at night.
Yeah.
So, yep, if you're eating badly, drinking too much, not getting enough sleep, going out for a run and running too fast, then you're going to feel not so good and you might get an injury.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. A good one on sleep. I'm just looking at my Aura ring, which I've got. I've got 83 score on sleep, which is very high for me. So it was a big weekend, but even so, and 94 activity because I've gone for a run. 80
Yeah.
readiness. So I am ready to go and see a football match.
Have you noticed what happens when you drink too much and what your aura ring tells you about your sleep quality?
Absolutely. It just
It
says,
just goes down the
yeah,
toilet.
you're an idiot. What are you doing? How enjoyable was that red wine after all? And I say, hey, Aura, you're overstepping the mark, man. Just give me the data. I don't need attitude. And then it says, well, that's what you're paying $5.99 a month for. Anyhow, that was great. We've had a look in the future. We have got some other ideas for what we're going to do on this podcast, including the exciting prospect of getting people on to talk about their running journey. So staying in tune for that. But for now, thank you very much for being part of this, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye for now.